Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon as we're going to talk about how you can start a career in digital marketing. We're super excited that you're joining us and taking the next half hour to dive deep into careers in digital marketing and how you can get there. So we're going to go over a brief introduction. So we're going to talk about what's going on in the digital marketing landscape right now. What is open? What's happening? And also, how do you get there? Really, what are some tips and some strategies from our lead instructor, from our digital marketing fundamentals, and an expert in helping people find careers in digital marketing? Going to walk us through some really tried and true tips to get you where you want to go. And we're going to have plenty of time for questions as well. And we have some resources that we're going to share at the end, to some articles and some videos to help you get farther along in your career search here in digital marketing. I am just going to recommend that you add questions to the chat box. You see I put a note in the chat box. We are recording this. So please do add questions in the chat box throughout the presentation. We're going to try to get through the information. We don't have a lot of slides because we want to have as much time with you as possible and answer your questions. So know that we're going to have probably the second half of this half hour opportunities to answer your questions. So keep that in mind as we move along. Jot down those questions or put them in the chat box and we'll get to them as we get through this information. So we're super happy that you're with us. My name is Nicole Fenton and I work in our content. I am our content marketing manager. I work at our continuing and distance education in UVM's Department of Continuing Distance Ed. And Erik is with us. Erik Harbison, we're so excited to learn from you today. He leads our amazing digital marketing fundamentals course and has from the beginning. He is our fearless leader in the world of digital, and you can see Erik's got some credentials behind him. He knows what he's talking about. He has been doing this kind of work, and now he does this work full-time in addition to being our lead instructor, guiding and mentoring people in the world of digital marketing and careers. So you are about to learn from the best. So sit back, buckle up, and let's see what Erik has to say. So Erik, why don't you walk us through? So what's happening out there is, I can't imagine that digital is not still an amazing place to be for careers, but why don't you just give us an overview of what's going on?
Sure, and happy to be here and welcome everybody. Look forward to answering your questions and helping any way I can. So taking a step back, even go back a year and a half, even pre-pandemic, there was quite an appetite for interest in getting those getting jobs in marketing, whether it's, graduates or new marketers tired of doing their industry, whatever it was, HR, finance, what have you, and wanting to put that into the power of digital marketing in a job in digital marketing. Well, what's happened, and I'll say in the last year or so, is per some research from LinkedIn, it tells us that the supply side of digital marketing roles is growing. The demand side, meaning those interested in putting their hat into the ring for some of those jobs, is also growing. So when you think about those two elements, the world of digital marketing, I'm sure our guests have read series of articles that are out there now just speaking to the consistent growth and interest of digital marketing, mainly because these are skills anyone can learn, and mainly because a lot of companies, in the case of getting your name back out there or launching a new company, needs marketing help. So when you put all those things together, the industry, the landscape itself for digital marketing jobs specifically, is one that is just hyper growth in terms of the opportunities.
I think that, and because digital has so many facets to it, versus maybe another segment of a career path, there's so many different opportunities in digital that you can kind of swim in, I would think. So it really allows to look at a variety of different jobs.
Variety of different jobs. And if I had to say, someone may be thinking, hey, what's the most popular jobs in marketing when you go a level deeper? And I'd say in the areas of social media, for obvious reasons, just the blowing up of these networks. And I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm talking about all the other networks that are starting to become more prominent in ways to gain attention. So therefore, if you're a business that doesn't know how to figure out these platforms, in comes the marketer to help a business navigate those vehicles in that specific landscape of social media. Content is always going to be a path for any marketer. Content marketer would be the title, but it means so many different things that are necessary for businesses to become prominent in the minds of their prospects and their customers. writing emails, creating copywriting. I've seen a lot of marketers that I work with really take a liking to perfecting their copywriting skills, because it is the skill that is necessary no matter what discipline you decide to align with. So I find a lot of new marketers aligning there first, especially if they have an interest in writing, because that's a great skill to build first that can then be partnered or paired with.
Yeah,
some of these other key
absolutely. And you
disciplines.
touched on content, which is, of course, a love of mine. And it's so broad. There's just so many things that would fit underneath content marketing. And so that's a really exciting opportunity for people in digital. So let's talk about some of those challenges. You and I were talking before we started, is it a benefit or a detriment to be a jack of all trades? And so we'd just love to hear some of the things that you're seeing out there that are common challenges that some of the people you work with.
And I think a lot of the focus for marketers, now again, this is under the context of I'm looking for a job in marketing. There's a sense that I need to be great in everything. And there's a sense that I may be good at, maybe I know how to do social media, but I feel like I need to know SEO and paid search and email marketing. And the reality is there's no harm in learning about those channels. However, as it relates to positioning yourself as a valuable team member to a company, you want to be specialized in something. Doesn't mean it has to be just that, but maybe, as I like to say, you have a major and a minor, and that allows you to be very, very thoughtful and purposeful in the types of companies you look for, the types of roles you want to put yourself in the running for. So, the challenge here is everyone feels they need to be great at everything, and therefore they probably burn 3, 6, 9 months of, again, not just learning about things. That's different. Learning about a new marketing channel is okay, but feeling like you have to get 3 months of experience in every channel before you decide to go look for a job, that's where I see, especially the younger marketers, getting sidetracked because they feel like I'm not good enough, and their confidence is blown because they feel like they got to be great in everything, when the reality is,
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you more to talk about if you have an area that you have drilled down into and the passion. And I think that that's also helping you to stand out from the other candidates, which I know is incredibly challenging. I want to just also give a plug, and we're going to talk about these workshops towards the end that we have. But Sue Schloem has for a long time worked with our folks in our digital marketing fundamentals course as well, and as a career coach. And she really says that the cover letters, throw it out the window at this point, because you have to tailor your resume to the specific job, and then really match your skills to that job in your resume. And so does that kind of reinforce what you're saying here, Erik, too, that you need to highlight the things that are your areas of expertise in digital, and maybe not try to be a jack of all trades?
Yeah, because highlighting your specialty and being able to speak to the fact that you taught yourself how to do, let's just pick one discipline. You taught yourself how to be good at paid search. And in doing so, you launch your own campaign on your own website to learn how to really do it in the wild. And you invested your own money that you made working part-time somewhere or in a savings fund just to get the hands-on experience knowing how it all works. If I hear that conversation, I'm hiring for an entry-level role, I'm much more likely to maybe be interested in that candidate than somebody that walks in with 3 certifications, can't really speak to executing, they're just waiting for their shot to execute. Big difference there. And that's how you differentiate from those other candidates, is you show the value, you show that you know how to put into practice all the things you've been reading, watching, and learning, because anybody can watch a YouTube video. The differentiation is, what do you do with that?
Yeah, good point too. Okay, these are amazing strategies here, and I want to put this question out to our audience today too. Bless you. I want to put this out to our audience. What of these things have you done? And Erik has a few other steps on another slide. So I'm really curious, as he's talking about some of these, please share with us in the chat box, like, what have you done as part of this, and what has been effective, or maybe what haven't you done and you're excited to try? So Erik, walk us through this.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll call out is the little emoji here, which is when I think about success for digital marketing, and this goes way back to when I was looking for my first digital marketing job, where, listen, we've all been there, or you will be there if you've started, is the rejection and the confidence hit. and the what am I doing? Why am I applying to these jobs? No one's getting back to me. I'm getting ghosted. Like these are all things that make us wonder and wrongly make us wonder, am I a good fit for a marketing career? And the reality is, yes, you're a good fit for a marketing career. You're just going about it the wrong way. So these strategies that I share here are meant to keep you away from what is easy. Because the question I always ask everybody is, would you rather be one of 250 applicants for a position where you have zero context and zero connection with anybody at the company? Or would you rather be one of, let's say, 20 candidates that are deciding to go build a relationship first, as opposed to kind of submitting and crossing your fingers? So you will not hear me talk about applying to jobs as the single source of how to get a job. Because if it's easy to apply, then it's hard to stand out. Think about that. If it's easy to just click, submit the same resume to 16 different jobs, you're not really doing a good job differentiating. You're really reducing your chances of being found. So the first strategy here is about, when I think of marketing jobs, think about it, right? Why not approach your marketing job like a marketing plan, right? And for those that may have had experience building marketing plans, or of marketing plans, why not construct your focus, your energy, because time is the most crucial element that you have. Protect your time by building a plan so you stay focused and stay on course. The second one is about your personal brand. How many of you have searched your own name recently? And what shows up? Oh, I forgot about those photos. Oh, wait a minute, someone else has the same name as me. And the reality here is that you may not think someone's still doing that, but hiring managers are doing that. So there's importance in having your personal brand pillars, and I'll go into examples of those later. It's important to have those personal brand pillars not just updated and active, but they must be consistent to tell the story you want to be told about your brand. See, no different than a marketing component, right? No different than marketing branding or branding for a company. And then lastly, it's about increasing the visibility of your personal brand, but not just to say, hey, here I am, check me out, but it's more about how can you connect and provide value to those companies that have the positions that you want, or connecting with the companies where you want to work.
You've got more planning here, so get your notebooks out, everybody. These are the things that you can follow along.
So, yeah, this is a simple example. If anybody here that's in the audience has actually gone to took the time to specifically write out these elements of your job search plan, identify yourself, because I'd love to learn more about how you did it. But this is what everyone should have documented if you're somebody who says, yes, I'm looking for a marketed job. Even if you're in the market and you're passively looking, save your time, set realistic expectations for yourself by focusing on the components that will give you the focus that matters. And where most people get twisted or get distracted is they don't spend time to think about who they're trying to target. Because most people say, I want to get a job at X, or most people say, I want a job in this title. And that's missing the point of like who you're really trying to connect with. And and this is just an example of what somebody could outline as their job search plan. And the things I want to call out here is there's a SMART goal that gives you a time. So whatever you're doing, you have until end of January to get it done. You're being specific about who you're contacting. So I don't want to talk to HR. I want to talk to hiring managers. I want to talk to the VPs of marketing, the people that make the decisions on who gets hired. And I can research through LinkedIn on who those people are. And the how, which is your strategic methods, I'm not going to batch and blast my resume to all the agencies I want to work for. No. I'm going to find names of people because you can. I'm going to find emails for those people because you can. There's tools you can use to do that. I'm going to send them a message, and I'm just going to ask for a conversation. And by doing that, I get to talk to them one-to-one, and they get to learn more about me. And therefore, I'm not one of 250. I'm one of maybe 20 people that have decided to do the same thing. And because I have some assets prepared to share with them to show that I've done my research, I'm going to make that conversation as powerful as possible. And what would a campaign be without having metrics of success? So I'm going to have metrics of how many emails people reply to me, how many calls get booked. And I give myself that target. I've got to do 2 per month or else. Now this is, if you think about it, the structure that any marketer would need in finding their next job, because it keeps you from falling into that that trough of easy apply.
Yeah. Do you think, Erik, that, I think about some of the successful, job searches that I've had over the years, and or when I owned my company, successful hires and how that happened. And, I think there's such value in inviting and then succeeding and having coffee with somebody, or, having that one-on-one opportunity to really talk to them. Has that been easier or more difficult because of COVID? Because we're not necessarily having coffee with anybody anymore.
I don't think it's gotten harder, but I don't think it's gotten extremely easier either. I think it just has forced us to be a little bit more strategic in not just who we contact, but how we contact them. Because before we had so many more in-person opportunities, and maybe there's more passive conversations just organically happened. So maybe I have to work harder to find the right person in my network that I can contact. And whether it's a warm introduction, a semi-cold introduction, but just getting somebody to say, yeah, you should talk to Nicole. She's looking for a role, has some great background. I'll let you guys connect and figure it out. Well, we're all akin to a Zoom call nowadays, so it isn't hard to get that scheduled. But now what I tell people is when you do get that call scheduled, you better have the agenda shared. You better have it 15-minute time. Like, don't waste somebody's time, but make it valuable to learn a lot in a quick 15-minute call. Have an expectation, have an objective. So you're not just like talking about, hey, how's the weather where you are? It's got to be specific to understand how you can create value in a relationship
absolutely.
with that person.
Great. And I see Julia's got a question and Tim's typing. We're going to get to those in just a minute. But as Erik's talking too, just be thinking about, I'm so curious, what are some things that have worked for people, or did you just, get some new tips from Erik that you haven't done and you need to be doing? So let's keep talking about your brand pillar, because I think this is such an important piece. And yes, people are still Googling and looking on people's profiles as they're considering them as candidates. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and the key here is that you want to make sure that there's consistent messaging of what I say UVP. Again, everyone here is $1 million brand minimum. That's truth. So if you think about yourself as $1 million brand, what is your unique value proposition? What do you bring to a company as a marketer? And if that is the profile section of your resume, if that's in the title in your LinkedIn profile, if that's on the homepage of your personal brand page, and that's consistent, as the hiring manager, I'm connecting saying, well, this person clearly is very clear about what they stand for. And then here comes the examples. Your resume is really just about highlighting this. It's the highlight reel of the accomplishments that you've generated in all your roles. Think of it that way. This is not time to talk broadly about I managed a social media account. No. We talk specific about the impact you generated. LinkedIn profile is your digital reputation, so it allows you to showcase more of not just things you've done, but it shows that you're someone who's engaging with thought leaders in the space that you want to be part of. Super simple. LinkedIn is probably the most powerful tool to be using right now. Personal website. It does not have to be 18 pages. It could be one page, picture, 4 paragraphs about your story and what led you to getting into marketing, and allows me to connect with you as a person without even meeting you. But I see a picture, I get some information, and maybe there's a contact button to call, and that's it. If those 3 are consistent, then you have your arsenal ready to go when you start networking.
Speaking of networking, making those connections, and yeah.
So the thing about this, as a strategy, is that you have to think of this as a process. This is a process that doesn't start and end. It kind of cycles. So when you think about being specific about where you want to work and the companies you want to work for, and everyone should have a short list of companies that they want to work for first, not titles, not roles, companies. Because those companies that's the thing that is going to be driving you, supporting you, being your advocate. So once you have those, then it's following this process. Research the people there, research the people there, engage with their content. Engage with their content in whatever social media platform that they're active in. So then your name becomes top of mind when someone starts to see the comments you're making. Then you send that message to the VP of marketing to get a call, get a conversation going. And then you deliver something that says, thanks for our conversation. I took the time to do a quick audit on your social media profiles. Here are some ideas I thought I would share with you. Now, remember, the attention that you have for that one person, again, 1 of 250 or 1 of 20, and by following this process for not just 2 people every company, but let's say you have a list of 10 companies. If you follow this process over the course of, it may take you 30 days, it may take you 60 days, I'm pretty sure if you're doing it right, you're going to get 2-3 conversations, because that's all you need. 2-3 conversations where someone really likes what you have to bring to the table. And therefore you've bypassed all this cruft and all this waiting and rejection, by doing it the old fashioned way. So that's what this is. This is to be seen as a process that is repeated.
I'm going to ask Kelly on our team if you could. We have a great video from one of our career coaches I was mentioning, Sue Shlom, who's worked for years with folks in our digital marketing certificate. And Kelly just put up a link. She has a video, Sue has a video talking about authentic networking. That a lot of people say, gosh, it just feels kind of fake if I'm reaching out to say hello to people on LinkedIn and trying to make connections. How do I do it authentically? And so I think that's a really important piece too. And I think back to the point you just made, Erik, too, it's not a one and done. You don't just reach out to somebody and say hello and then you're done. So it's like, you got to keep it up. You got to keep at it. You got to keep building those networks and talking. And it takes a lot of time. Do you ever have like a recommendation as to, should someone spend 10 minutes a day working on something like that, half hour? Is there any formula you recommend?
The only formula I recommend, because everyone's schedule is different, is I should have started this by saying looking for any job in marketing requires the right mindset. And the right mindset is, one, you can control what you can control. You don't know if someone's on vacation and doesn't respond to you. But what you also control is the time you invest in it. So everyone could probably find 5 hours a week that is watching Netflix or doing something that isn't geared towards getting a job. But don't just, bake 5 hours into one day. Everyone can find 30 minutes in their day to do something tied to their plan. Because if you have a plan, you can kind of jump into it whenever you can and chip away at it in 30-minute increments. So 5 hours to me would be the minimum, only if someone has the right mindset and they have a plan and they have, an expected outcome, like they want to get hired in 90 days. If you have all those elements together, then finding that time really isn't that hard.
True, absolutely. You just got to commit to it too, and schedule it in. I think that's another thing too. If you kind of put it in your calendar, it's a little bit more difficult to avoid it. Julia asked a question a few minutes ago. Julia, thank you for asking this. She says, is it more reasonable to join a company and work for a specific company's marketing department or to freelance right now? And I think we see a little bit of both, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to come down to the individual, because some people shouldn't be freelancers that are. And what I mean by that is that they think that they can manage themselves and projects themselves, but they're horrible at time management. So therefore, they probably will have a hard time being successful at being a freelancer. Not to say they can't, but it will be challenging. So this comes back to what is it the person's looking to do? Because listen, if you're able to manage yourself and do that effectively, maybe you've done some freelance work, and you feel that you can successfully not just find clients, but service clients as one person, then sure, freelancing makes sense. The challenge there is making sure that you're staying relevant and always providing value, but also, again, 50% finding new business, 50% working on the business. If you can do that, then freelance is fine. If you're looking for stability, if you're looking for insurance, benefits, those sorts of things, then working for a marketing company may be the route to go. But again, it all comes back to what is the priority. Absolutely.
And those priorities shift. That's the other thing too. Your priorities can change as you go along in your career, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong answer, I think, to the different avenues of your career path that you go down. Tim shared with us, Erik, that he has been in the rare coin industry for 22 years. He's thinking about closing up the brick and mortar. Nice. And so that's a big move. Congratulations, Tim. And he is taking our digital class right now, our digital marketing fundamentals right now. So Tim's saying, should I get the online rolling or wait? Where, and that's a tough one to answer, but just some advice for Tim as to what point do you make that decision to kind of jump into digital too?
I'd probably start by trying to get a sense for demand. Tim, if you asked your customers that hey, if I were to spin this to an online business, would you still purchase or refer me or things like that? So try to get a feel for demand if there's an appetite. Because remember, you may flip to be an online business, but then realize your audience they're not comfortable purchasing online. So you may want to do a little bit of surveying to see if there's an appetite and demand there before making any sort of investments into platforms and other sort of
Yeah,
operations.
that's a really good point too. Julie, I'm going to come back. She has a follow-up question. Thank you for sharing more information. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute because I do want to share two other pieces. And Tim, this might also be something for you to think about. You're in the fundamentals. And so we have these different tiers of marketing, of our digital marketing courses as well. And I see Heather's with us today, and I know she's had a lot of experience in marketing, and other folks with us have maybe varying levels of digital marketing experience. So how do you level up? How do you skill up? And so if you're looking for that next level up too in a career in digital, how do you get there from an educational perspective? Like, what do you need underneath you from the learning experience? And so I just wanted to share that in a few weeks, September is right around the corner. On September 8th, we have two instructors in our digital marketing fundamentals, Christopher Hill and Nick Matter, talking about the digital marketing programs at UVM and those different levels and those different tiers. If you're foundational, kind of beginning, intermediate, and advanced, and what are the outcomes and what are you going to learn and what are you going to do? And so I just wanted to share, as you're looking forward to gaining more experience, if maybe you're thinking of leveling up as well in digital marketing, that there is a discussion coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. And I did mention, and I know probably some of you are aware of this, or maybe somebody's taking the workshop. It starts on the 16th. The first one does. And so I'd love to hear if anyone's taking either one of these workshops. So we have two workshops that are free for Vermonters and then $99 for out of state. And so we're super excited at this opportunity. And this one's called Exploring the Career Path for You. And this one's taught by Heather Palo. I won't read the slides, but there's just a little information there. It's basically like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And so it's really helping to guide that exploratory process for you personally. And as Erik was talking about, there's so many different areas in digital marketing. And so this will help you maybe narrow in on something that you do feel passionate about and that you can stand out on a resume and in those interview processes. So that'll guide you through that. And then the other one that follows, it also starts on the 16th, but we have several more sessions coming up this fall. You could take these concurrently. You could take the Exploring the Career Path for You, and then you could take the Getting the Job You Want. So you're trying to figuring out what area in digital are you interested in focusing in. Okay, great. Now I've determined that. Now how do you help me get there? How do I refine that resume? How do I take these tips that Erik has talked about? How do I have a coach guide me through that plan that Erik was talking about as well? And that's the second workshop with Sue Schlom, who I've mentioned, who works so closely with our digital marketing fundamentals students over several years. And so there's two different styles here of content to get you where you want to go. I have the dates there. The August 16th one is full, and maybe some folks are joining us in that course. And then the second and third and fourth sessions, you can see those dates as well. So they're 4 weeks, mostly asynchronistic. There, I believe Sue has a few options that you can join live, and so I would recommend that if you want to take advantage of that. So I want to come back to Julia's question as well. She was following up. Julia shared with us that she's a 23-year-old single mother, and she just graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Public Communications here at UVM through the Community Development Applied Economics Department. And she has experience running the UVM Thrive Guide as a student and mentor, and noticed my resume only reflects jobs I've not had in the industry, but I'm unsure how to cater my resume to the industry. Such a good question. And I bet, Erik, you see that a lot. Maybe there's, areas of interest. How do you translate some of those core skills into talking about skills in digital?
So I would start by identifying what kinds of roles you eventually want to work in. Is it PR? Is it content marketing? Again, we nail that down, because then once we have that, then we can pull out what are the key skills that are required for that position, and then make sure that they're represented in the non-marketing roles you have listed. But two areas that can be included on a resume that is non-marketing specific, meaning somebody who's a new marketer wants to get into marketing, is focusing on course information, meaning I've taken this course and implemented it in this way. And then leadership. If there's any opportunities for leadership, and literally calling that out on your resume as leadership experience. I was a leader here, here, and here. Under my leadership, this was achieved. So course and leadership are two areas that can work their way into a resume when looking to transition into a marketing role.
common question too. If you haven't had the experience yet, but you have had experience, so how do you just translate some of that experience into language that can apply? Julia also asked, this is a great question, is a Wix portfolio webpage viewed as professional? She's worried that because she's unable to code a website, which is not that unusual, Julia, so don't be too concerned. What kind of web page appears professional, Erik?
So Wix is not a bad option. But what I was saying earlier is that when it comes to any of those personal brand pillars, all of them are iterative. They're never done. So it's okay to start with, I give sites.google as an easy free option. flowcv.io is another option where you can create a very aesthetically pleasing website. And I say to myself, because I'm not a designer, if I can do it, which I have, then anyone can do it. In that, again, you just need one page, a photo, probably the same headshot you have in LinkedIn, and then it's working through your paragraphs that tell your story, where you've been, what you're doing, where you want to go, linking off maybe to certifications that you have. Maybe you have some portfolio pieces. But again, if it's just you and your story and a button to contact you or email you, that's a good start. Remember, iteration, that's iteration 1. And that's all you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about it looking like that other person that had 4 pages, then had a video. No. We're not worried about that. We're worried about you having something that's that satisfies version 1, so someone can connect with you about your backstory.
Great. And I think Julia's including maybe a comment or another question, so we'll hang on for that. But I do want to be mindful we're at the half hour, and so I want to be respectful of everybody's time because we all have probably 20 other things to do. So I just wanted to end on a quick question while Julia's finishing up there. Erik, do you think, because you've been in this industry for a long time and you guide people in this industry, in digital careers, have you seen it slowing down? Or I feel like when we came into the pandemic, everyone was like, oh my gosh, how are my digital skills? I need to help. I got to translate from my brick and mortar online if I'm not already. Is it slowed down at all? Or do you think it's still at a pretty good pace?
Slow down meaning
and career opportunities.
Oh no, I think it's amplified. The only thing that's slowed down is probably the ability for most companies to hire fast enough, because there are a couple of things are happening, right? The Great Resignation is happening, so it's opening gaps to higher positions. But there's always somebody who's going to want to take that position in office potentially, despite somebody leaving to go work remotely or for themselves. So right now it's an administrative bottleneck that's happening, which again, back to the strategies you follow, if you worry about connecting with the right people at the right company, then you will miss and try to keep yourself out of that bottleneck. Absolutely,
yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing up the Great Resignation as well. That seems to be happening everywhere, and so it's fascinating to see that people are like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back in the office. I'm not going back at all. So it's like, wow, really creating interesting opportunities, I think, for people too. Yeah, no problem, Julia. I just want to finish with your question. She asked, is scholarly personal narrative a good writing technique to use when writing paragraphs on your website, or should it be kind of honing in on our personal story more like a biography? Great question.
So here's what I tell people to do. Julia, record yourself on a call or talking to someone that you know, answering the question of them saying to you, tell me your story, Julia. Record it, right? So you hear yourself talking, and then write like you talk. And don't worry about the format. Write like you talk, and that's going to be the most authentic way to capture that on your personal brand site.
Super good advice. Erik, thank you so much. Thank you always for being there for our students and leading our digital marketing fundamentals and imparting your amazing knowledge in this field. And thank you everybody for these awesome questions. We can't wait to see you in our digital marketing courses, in our free workshops. We can't wait to see you working in the field of digital marketing. Wishing everyone good health and a wonderful afternoon. Thanks so much, Erik. Take care, everybody.
All right. Take care. Bye.